Dane Rose here, long-term Tesla fan, waiting for the Tesla pickup, but thinking there might be a better alternative in the following concept. Now, I'm a contractor, and I use my roof rack probably about, well, I take 6 months holiday every year, and so it's probably only about 6 to 10 times a year. But I need the roof rack in those times. Similarly, I occasionally need a pallet of stone, or do some bark deliveries or soil deliveries. And usually I'll get these delivered, but it's nice to have the option. If the delivery breaks down or we're on the last day of a job and the bark place can't fit in the delivery at the last day, it's nice to have the option. And so I began to imagine a trailer that could do all of the different things that I might need and more. And on a somewhat different vein, I'm making a documentary about homelessness, and one of the things that's showing up in the millions of Americans that are homeless is the idea of living out of a car. And there have been some stories about it, like a woman living out of her Model X, but there's no doubt that an electric trailer could accommodate that, much more elegantly than living in a Model X, etc. So let's look at the core design. And I'll just walk you through my idea of an ideal Tesla trailer. And my preference would be to buy it with a Model Y or possibly a Model 3. One of those two. Could be a Model S too, but I'd really like a Model Y, which doesn't have, of course, the roof rack or roof rack option with an electric trailer. So, and here's why. I like sticking to one vehicle. So I have a Toyota Tundra V8, and it's fabulous. It's got the roof rack. I've got all of my tools in a custom designed tool chest. I've got the extra cab for stuff in the back. I can carry up to 5 people if necessary. But it's a long truck to park. And so, it's a mild irritant more often than it is not. But it's not worth getting an extra car because then I have to move things like, I have to double up on things I would need on both cars or move them back and forth, have to have extra parking, etc. So I just have the one Tundra. And here's what I'd like to do. So we'd have a 6.5 or so foot wide trailer with the wheels inset. This means you don't get the wheel banging into things as you're making sharp corners. So it's inset. And on the back here, you have the doors swing out and all the way around independently. So you can open this door all the way around and latch it, this door open all the way around and latch it. One or the other, you've got those options. And I'd say we want to be in a roughly 7 foot tall trailer. So easy headroom, even with a hard hat on. So 7 foot would accommodate that. I'm 6'1". The hard hat adds another 6 inches. So we want a 7 foot roof or kind of standing height. And then just 2 wheels gives the most steering maneuverability and flexibility. So a couple of good quality wheels. And having them near the back also helps if you were to lay a 1-ton pallet in the back, this is easy forklift loading. You just open this up, the forklift comes in the back. It's easier than a pickup. The pickup is a little tight for pallet loading, and so it's either awkward or some pallets won't quite fit in between the wheel wells. And so, it would be size for easy pallet loading. And up at the top, you have your core frame. I don't know what, it would typically be square steel tubing. You'd have your core frame, the length of the trailer, because lumber comes in as long as 20-foot lengths, and so does PVC pipe, etc. And so if this is in the 13-foot range, you're going to be able to extend it in front and back, or cut it down to size if necessary. But you're going to be able to carry 20-foot material in a pinch. Now on the side here, I like the idea of on one side, half the side coming down so that you could load things through the side, where the wall just hinges right here and then goes down to the ground, and you could have someone inside, loading stuff. I occasionally do plant deliveries, and what's nice about this trailer is more than a pickup, it shields plants from wind, and this can carry a couple $1,000s worth of trees very comfortably, as well as a plant delivery. And again, it allows you to justify labor, because a pickup, you either need a separate trailer or you have to make 2 trips on large deliveries. And sometimes it's nice to be able to take a few hundred plants in one go and use shelving, etc., to organize those plants. Now, when I go in with my pickup to the soil nursery, they will load me from the side. Of course, the pickup is higher off the ground, so you usually only get maybe 2 yards of material before, with an extended cab, before the bed is pretty much filled up. And there's no sides on the pickup. And so if you go up higher, then the wind blows the bark out. And so you need top loading. So you need top loading. And just when you're doing soil and bark deliveries or have larger trees, standing vertically, etc. So you want to be able to have the top open and close. And my idea is in the back here to have a roll, and on the electric version of the truck it would be a button, but otherwise it's just a hand crank. And you have this kind of design here, either with plastic reinforced with steel, or for example an all aluminum roll that would leaf together and become a waterproof top where any rain coming in would go off the sides. And this gives you that's way better than a pickup, because when I got the pickup, the decision was whether to put a canopy on top and then never be able to do bark, so I didn't do that. And but then everything's open to the rain. And so, there's times when I'll, for example, put my groceries in the back of the pickup because I don't want to open the third door and stick them in the back seat, and then it starts to rain and the groceries are all wet when getting home. And so, or you get a cardboard box you're taking out to the job site, you're not going to need to open it up, and because it's got some parts, until the afternoon, and by the time you're ready to open it up, it's been raining for a bit. So one of the biggest things I like about this is when I was looking for a house, as a contractor, I needed to find a double car garage to fill entirely with tools. Or I couldn't choose the house because, organized and compact tools and all that are really important. And so I really like the idea of having a walk-in, a walk-in trailer that has lots and lots of tools, more than I can keep in my truck, because with the truck open, the bed is open most of the time. Now, my crew lives in a neighborhood of theft, and they don't have the place inside to put any tools. And so they get stuff stolen out of there, but also they actually limit the tools that they own because they don't have room to put them. And so again, this spacious trailer takes care of that because it can be parked on the street. And I'll get to that a little bit later on. Now, if you've got this filled up with bark, for example, up to here, you open up both doors or one of the doors, and then out of the floor on the inside here, a ramp folds out. And it could have an extender on it, but I think a 3-foot ramp, given the height of a trailer, which is lower than a pickup, would generally be about right. And being able to have, a hinge here, a hinge here, a hinge here, and a hinge here, and have these open independently avoids the fact that sometimes you're parking or backing up a trailer on uneven terrain, and so one side hits the ground higher than another, and it doesn't warp the whole hinge. If you have 2 or even 3, if you broke it into thirds, it would allow you to have just the middle one, all of them, open or closed, and they could be at slightly different angles as needed. But just having that there and not having to carry separate, ramps to run a rototiller out of there. Now, similarly, when you're renting something like a $3,000 rototiller or a $10,000 rototiller, having the ability to lock this up rather than, get the special ramps, drive it up higher into a pickup. You have to take the crossbar off on the pickup for a lot of things. Like when I put my pressure washer into the back of the truck, it'll roll back, and it takes 2 people to lift the pressure washer up. So I'm actually incapacitated if I'm leaving the house alone, which I often am, because it's not really worth the bother of getting 2 special ramps and setting them up for the pickup and then carrying them around, or where do you put them? But, you have to remove the crossbar off the back of the truck. Contractors will understand what I'm talking about. And then, strain my back to shove the pressure washer up in and then put the crossbar back. And it's things like this that add kind of stress and division to the day, because you've got these divides like the canopy or the lumber rack bark or this, and so the more flexibility and the more it's built in, it really is an enormous thing to have these ramps just built right in here and be able to drive, small, even a mini excavator. Being able to drive a 3,000-pound excavator in there, I think that's pushing it. But certainly a rototiller, depending on how it's built, that would be great. And you don't have to worry about, I've had a pressure washer stolen out of the back of my truck. So then, when I go shopping on my way back home from work, I have to think about things like that as opposed to have everything secure, because, a pickup, if it's open, someone can lift stuff out, or you have to, padlock stuff in. It's not, and so there's all these little things. Is it worth finding the padlock and the key and stuff like that? So any of this that turns into just a nice flow, I think is great. So next, we come to the fact that having a custom trailer, I think, is huge. It took me a while to get around to going to a plastic store, having special pieces cut, getting the right epoxy, and turning my, because the side tool chest that I have on my Tundra just came as all one big compartment. And as everyone knows, all the small tools go down to the bottom, and so you have to empty everything out to get it, and it's really irritating. And so I made 20 separate compartments at different heights and stuff with these little plastic things, and all my low voltage lighting is here, all my drip irrigation parts are here, the emergency repair for PVC is here, this is here, and all these separate things, flashlights, razor blades, all these little things. You need lots of little compartments for them to be easy. The place for the gloves. Otherwise, they just get in the way. And so that made a huge difference. And so I would put, but I glued each one together, and some of the plastic pieces that I cut were a little sharp, and it's not worth perfecting if it's just me. But if you can have a custom trailer builder, meaning that there's actually going to be someone that customizes this for you, I think that's a wonderful add-on service, that you can buy this in standard models and also have the option of working with a customizing package. And part of that customizing package is painting or stickering the outside however you want, so that this can be a powerful form of advertising without another whole ordeal, so that you get this trailer delivered, customized exactly as you want it, painted the way you want it, and you can spec that out when ordering and have payments or flat fee, cash payment options. Having this all in one place just increases the flow. Now, as part of this tool customization idea, if you're regularly, I don't do much bark and soil and that kind of stuff, but if you're regularly doing both, I think it would be nice to have, in addition to this top rollout thing, a side rollout thing, where basically when you're filling it up with soil or bark, you'd have another wheel in the back that would roll out and partition 6 inches to a foot of wall, where you just have vertical slats, and you'd easily clear out all the bark, and this would be aluminum, and then it would roll back, and you'd have all your compact, carpentry and other tools if you're doing a lot of crossover work. The general shelf design that I think would be great would be that you have the option to swing it up in several places like this and have like 2-foot shelves with little lips, or have it fall down and just have it be in a wire grid format, so that dirt and dust and bark and stuff would fall through that when they're down, and they're locked in place in either way. This makes it very customizable. So features: roll on top, lumber rack, and straps to lock. Now, one of the things that I think would be worth innovation here, because here's the problem. On the top of my roof rack, I have straps on both sides, and they're not bad, but here's a couple of things. If you're storing things up on the top of the roof and it's on the street or something, anyone can just open those clamps and take what's on top, or slide it out. That's one issue. The other issue is occasionally, like I'll tell the crew, do that, or I'm busy, and I actually got to the site, unloaded some of the top, realize I'm not ready for all of it, and head home and actually forget to strap this down again. And usually, I've never had an accident, but often I'm pulling away and it's like, oh, I forgot to tighten the straps. And there's no prompt or reminder either in the car or up there that anything's going on. And I think an alert, you're moving and your straps are not tightened, is a good safety alert. There's nothing more dangerous than a 2x6 flying off a 70-mile-an-hour car in the highway, and that can happen. And you don't realize until it's happened. And so having an alarm up on these straps, but my ideal would be maybe 3 different strap patterns where using an app or 3 buttons up here that there's a strap that kind of comes over and locks down on its own and tightens to a comfortable level and can be adjusted and then cannot be undone by someone without the use of the app or a key or using inside. And the way I'm imagining it is a Tesla integrated trailer where it's communicating with the car and the software that's already in the car is allowing and empowering this to work well. So you'd get an alert, straps aren't tight, there's weight up there, straps aren't, or there's a lever pressed because something's in this corner that depresses a lever, something's there and the straps aren't tight, you get an alert, and you have to okay that before the car will drive. I think that's incredibly safe. But ideally, you would there's some options where you put stuff and it's like plywood, it's over the whole things, and you might want straps from both sides, or you want the strap to go all the way over here and then tighten here. And then there's other times you want 2 separate loads. You have one tightening here and one tightening here, like 2x6s and PVC pipe over here. And so my ideal is you'd just be able to tap a button and both the front and the back would tighten in the pattern desired, which, usually up, over, drop down in here, and then tighten to a snug fit. And that it would even, if it was noticing, vibration, etc., would automatically tighten if on the road. So I think that would be a huge upgrade and just relieve, anxiety about forgetting something and be safer. But also be a quick release. You get to the job site, okay, let's go. You don't want to rush around and undo 4 straps and do this, and so just being able to release everything and go is a huge contractor benefit. From inside the vehicle, release. You can call out the crew, come and unload this. So that's what I'd like to see on the strap level. And then what's one of the other irritating things on steep hillsides, something I deal with a lot, a trailer or a truck, puts a certain weight on the gears and stuff. And so And I think this trailer could be done in a way that it could be added to an existing truck, run by a Model Y, run by a Model X, run by a Model S. Presume maybe the Model 3 is adequate, for doing this as well, or an existing pickup, obviously with some of the features downgraded. But having the ability to unhook the trailer, now usually the crew puts rocks under a wheel. I'd love something to drop down in this shape and extend so that the wheel is automatically supported and extra traction is provided, so that even on a slippery road, it's not just this little point of the tire that's making contact. It's now a flat bit of rubber here that's come down and extended that the wheel can lean into and give whatever braking or axles a bit of a rest there. Again, in the electric version, and I think that's where it makes sense, that would be automatic. You wouldn't drive forward until those were up, because that's another thing. The crew will drive off, leaving rocks in the client's driveway because they didn't want to get out or they forgot. And so having this be integrated, or they're trying to park and someone's looking around for the rock that'll go under there because you don't want to drive around all the time with rocks in the trailer. So this is a nice feature here. Now, for wind, I think this angle for the like the fiberglass would be nice. And what this does is it means that inside here, on the inside, you can partition storage area that if you're getting bark and, let's say you fill this up with bark to here, none of this would be touched. And on the outside, where air goes through, you can put things that you're using, that day and are going to be put back in the garage or unload at the garage. You can just throw stuff directly into bins here that are accessible from the outside. So I like that shape and that doesn't affect, long-term wind aerodynamics. So then the bottom here, you have a range extender for your Tesla where you can put a battery or have a compartment for storage in the floor. The trailer would be built with storage and you'd have the option of choosing a battery or not. And in the electric option, you'd have the range extending battery of whatever sizes. I'd see it in thirds where you can, I think it would be great to, even if they're in Powerwall format, where you buy Powerwalls and you can decide 1, 2, 3, 4 based on the amount of storage that you want, the amount of range extension that you want, where they would just, maybe the floor could be designed to fit Powerwalls horizontally. Or otherwise, just modular battery packs, I think would be great. So we have range extender. And then with the electric model, I like the idea, and this would really make the difference in something, like a Model 3, which might otherwise not have the oomph. If I'm carrying a 2,000-pound pallet up a steep driveway, it might strain the engine of a small electric vehicle. But if we had one motor that would kick in, would allow either wheel to, would hold on to both wheels and turn them simultaneously just when engaged, even if it was only 10 miles an hour. You see, you don't need to drive up a steep driveway or a very steep hill, at 75 miles an hour. You don't need that at all. What you need to know is that, in that 2% of the year, or 1%, might be one trip on one job, on one driveway, where the car wouldn't be able to pull a ton of rock or 3,400 pounds of rock up that driveway. And just having the ability to kick in that button and drive at the speed of the trailer. So you've got the combination of the trailer kicking in at 8, 10 miles an hour, plus the car, gets you up the hill, but also gets you extra traction because you've got an extra couple of wheels if you've got a spinning dynamic. The engine is fine, but you're starting to spin. You've got the wheels of the trailer turning with you. You need a very small motor for this, and the same motor could be employed for doing something like rolling out the top and back, and rolling out the side and back. It could have a couple of different, gears that apply it to different things, so that it's a really useful for motor. It could even be used in the concept, in a winch concept, where that same motor could have a winch coming off the back of the trailer, or you could have a wire coming out at a certain point and be able to thread it through whichever area you would like winched. Again, you don't need a winch 99.9% of the time, so it's kind of irritating getting a motor. And a lot of motors don't get a lot of use, and they corrode a little bit over time. And so you actually want to use your electric motor from time to time. So that would be the thing that would turn any size car basically into being able, because you'd have a low gear at which that motor would turn those trailer wheels based on whatever load was in there, regardless of how steep the drive. And that's pretty much all you need as a contractor. Now, next comes app security and alarm. A little bit similar to the Tesla car, and particularly if it was connected, gathering a little bit of footage, having a few cameras. This prevents tool theft. Having the trailer auto lock, so these come down and go in. The wheels will not turn. The power system is off, and this bit here will not go up. Makes it unstealable. Currently, you buy a trailer like this, and you might have $20,000 into that trailer and various things, and someone can just pull up, clip a chain, hook up, and in the night drive off. And you have no locating device. There's no GPS. There's nothing. You don't know where to go, and you're just gone. And that's one of the biggest reasons to have a truck rather than a trailer currently. Someone can run off with your trailer. So this is huge. Now, in the home camper trim version, when it's customizable, you might have things like a fold-out cot bed, a swing-out, in this area, swing-out composting toilet, whatever that trim option is. It's remarkable what, I see little tiny 40-square-foot campers that can go on the back of pickups, which innovative people who want to go on a road trip have been, it's incredible what you can do with such small space. This is an enormous space compared to that. And on that option, one of the things that I like is this idea right here. Because if you have a hinge that goes like this on the one side, you can have 3 sets of solar panels, again, depending on how many you choose, and they can be clipped on the side here, and they can swing all the way up and over, and the roof becomes not only waterproof, but a solar roof. And so by having these 3 different panels for the length of the thing, so like one here, and one here, that makes it easier for one person to flip it over. The one vulnerable thing is when it's 6 foot tall up here, is just making sure that it doesn't crash down on the other side, which there's a variety of ways to soften that. I think making these hinges such that you can just get it over and gravity will slowly bring it down. It doesn't just crash. It can go easily the one way, but it won't crash down on the side and bang here, so that basically these hinges turn easily in this radius, and in the last bit when it's falling down, it softens and slows down to nothing by here, and then you click it, and then same with here, it slows down to nothing and you click it, or it has an automatic battery lock until you release it in the other version, so that the panels can't be stolen, things like that. And the existing house panels, that taper off are a good model, for this kind of system. But what this does is a lot for someone who's going camping on a round-the-world trip, on a round-the-country trip. You're able to travel the country now with no guilt of fossil fuels, etc. You've got this, which is way bigger than a car roof. Adding, charging the battery here even when the car battery is off. So you can be charging here, and you can even pull up to a supercharger and charge the trailer and go do a few other things nearby, come back when this is fully charged, and then this charges your car as you're going, as well as the sunlight from the back of the trailer charging the trailer and the car as well. So the next thing is something I'm incredibly excited about and happy about, because it's one of the big deal-breaking points in owning a trailer, period. And it's the combination of parking. So we're looking at parking. Backing up trailers, a nightmare. And there's a couple of different ways that this can be done. The thing I would like is, frankly, 2 little cone markers that pop out of the trailer. And we have to see what's the easiest thing. But I want 2 beacons that, let's say this is the driveway there, and I want the back of the trailer, this point and this point, to be here and here. And the car's down here, and there's a bit of a slope, and there's a curve. That's all I want. I want the back of the trailer there. Now, a little bit like summon. This would be reverse summon. This is drive up to a site, and it's great for the crew, or like my wife. I don't know if my wife is ever going to learn how to park a trailer. She finds it confusing backing up. It's like, she's, of course, So you put these two things down, and you say park. And here's what happens. The car moves in, getting signals from these two corner points, getting signals from here, getting signals of what's going on in the road, backs this trailer up here. I click unhook, and here's what happens. This goes down, coming out of this cone here. It's a hydraulic thing. It could be tied in with that same motor doing this stuff here in terms of a spiraling to come down, or it could be a hydraulic. But this comes down to the point that makes the trailer as level as possible. That's its default. And then I can up and down it to tilt the trailer. Like if I want to unload something heavy and I want this to be stuck out 5 feet, this is quite a long column. From here, we're looking at 7 feet. So I can extend this all the way until this angle is down like this. And it makes it very easy to, for example, unload bark. It's almost like a dump truck in that sense. And then this here is keeping its, the wheels are not going to move by any of this. And this is all automatic. So I press unhook. And wonder of wonders, if you've ever tried to lift a trailer onto your tow package in the traditional thing, like I have a little boat, and you've got to unhook the thing, push the thing down, pull the boat into just the right position, push it down, then tighten it up before it pops up. Hopefully your fingers don't get dinged in any of this process. And if you're communicating with someone in the car, back up, no, 2 inches. This is the kind of thing that you get into a fight with your wife loading up for camping. And the next 2 hours are, why did you have to be so grumpy around this? Well, you hit my thumb, this saves marriages. So this pops down, this auto levels. The tow package unclamps on its own. And it's got a little thing. And on the Tesla tow package, and on the clamp of this trailer, first of all, you have this irritating thing. Is it a 1-inch ball, a 1.5-inch ball, a 2-inch ball, a 2.5-inch ball? So there's this whole thing. What's the ball size? And you get big hunks of steel of different sizes to handle different trailers, and you have mild anxiety. You're going to U-Haul to get a trailer or something. It's like, which do I have the right ball? And we'll spend an extra $50 if to buy this. So you have all that uncertainty out of the mix, because the trailer goes down to whatever ball. It just comes in, finds the ball, brings itself to the ball, gets tight, stays tight throughout the drive, and you've just gotten rid of, I would say, it's got to be in the 10 to 50% of the most stressful and irritating part of the thing is, you're in your good clothes, but you got to bring the trailer, so you lift it up, that you get some grease on your hand or some dirt, you go back in the house and wash that off. All that stuff just vanishes. You click connect on your console screen. The car backs up. The trailer adjusts itself to the right height using this hydraulic thing. The clamp extends and connects to your ball. You got it good to go. And until you get that, the car doesn't drive forward. These things remove, and off you go. You get to a parallel parking situation. You tell the thing to park. You can get out and direct traffic because your car is parking for you. Again, takes rid of the second person. It goes in there, parks. You click unhook. 10 seconds later, you've got all the locks click on the trailer, every single lock. The straps at the top can no longer be undone. You've got a piece of advertisement, in a downtown parking situation. All the locks are secure. The alarm is on. This goes down. This is adjusted to the right height. You're good to go. You drive off without getting out of your car. Which means that, there's not an easy parking space down by the bank. Okay, let me drive over here. Maybe a mile down the road. It's downtown. Drop the trailer. You come back and park the car. So this is an incredibly innovative thing. So with auto lock, parking, solar planner, hook-on-hook car, roof cover, detailed trim, the ability to use CAD and pick all the various items. Like a CAD simulator can take you in there and literally show you all the standard stuff, and then you can extend it for special quotes or see all the different ways to configure. I have a lot of screwdrivers, don't have an air compressor, or I want an air compressor. Where would that, there's 3 places that would best, install in here. Or I'd like a heater. What would be the best place to put a heater if I want to go on an out-of-town camping trip? And having this, a solar panel up to a double range of the car having both be able to charge at a supercharger. And again, think if you wanted to charge the trailer and the car on 2 superstation charge stalls, you could do that because you'd put your little 2 things in station 1, click park, drop the trailer, and then you'd put the car in the next one. You charge them both simultaneously. And then you just press a button, get the trailer. And the car maneuvers automatically, connects to the trailer, and says, good to go. You don't get your hands dirty, no broken thumbs, nothing. And you get an alert on your app if anyone messes with the trailer, the same kind of thing with the car. Now, the question is, how valuable is this? And I'd say it's anywhere from $13,000 to $45,000 in value, depending on how you customize. Is it all manual, no electric? Skip all these features. If it's all electric and custom the way that I want it, with a trim package for going on a camping truck, trim package for loading bark, trim package for various tools, range extender. I can go out of town for 2 months. I'll get alert on my app if anyone messes with the trailer and stuff like that. That's worth a good $40,000 to me. And I'm pretty thrifty with stuff. And so I wouldn't mind then spending $40,000 on a Model Y, then another $40,000 on this, and having all these options and knowing that I can add to it. Like, I've decided I am going to go on a road trip. Let me add the next battery module myself and just order that part. My cousin needs a place to stay. We don't have an extra bedroom. Okay, let's get the trim set out, and that this can be added, and that it's set up that once you have the stuff, it's a much more usable tool and attachment and detachment framework than anything that I'm aware of on the market. Maybe there, but if so, just use the best one. This would be a deal changer for me because I'd be doing this right now rather than waiting for the pickup, number one. Number two, I'd save electricity and money, etc., because this would be all set up with my tools and could basically become its own private garage because it's as secure, it won't run off. It becomes more useful than a garage. I save time using a protocol like this, overloading things in and out of the truck, and then sometimes not having stuff when I need it and needed to go home for it. It's more versatile. I think it's incredibly professional. My crew would be able to borrow it, with accountability because of the theft feature. It's better than 3 pickups put together in all of its versatility. And you can go off on a social event and 10 seconds later, it's just a car. And you don't have to move the drink holder and your favorite music and all. You don't have to worry about 2 things. I hate switching back and forth. So if anyone wants to build something like this, I'm more than happy to offer free tips and suggestions and be a pioneering customer. And if anyone wants to push this towards Tesla, I would be delighted because a separate team, this is not terribly difficult to assemble. It's way easier than the pickup. A separate team could do this, and I think it will boost Model 3 sales, Model Y. It'll boost all the other sales when they know that this is the only company that they can buy this package with. Because that's a big decision. Car, a pickup. Should we just get U-Haul trailers from time to time for moving a sofa, or this brings it all together. This can stay parked, and you can even do with this custom painting thing, where it comes all pre-painted and all set up the way you want it. You can even do something cool, like have it painted like the side of your house where you keep it stored again. And then it kind of just looks camouflage, except when you're out driving it around from time to time. But if you wanted to have it as a spare bedroom from time to time, or even a little, workstation or a filming station, because sometimes it's too noisy in the house to make videos. And I've got my little nook down here in the house, but I had to build that, and it's tough. If you turn this into a little film station, again, part of that customizable thing, you just have it painted to match in with the house. It's got its own battery. That's a cool setup. You've got control of lighting and the whole thing. So, an idea tonight, and love to hear from anyone who wants to do anything with it.